The Young Gun Derby is on. Chelsea's Brazilian duo versus City's midfield magicians versus Arsenal's goal machine versus United's towering striker versus Liverpool's midfield genius. The 2025 title race could be decided by which summer signing adapts fastest. We've ranked all 6 marquee signings by their potential impact. Number 3 will shock you. Chelsea's £60 million signing of Joao Pedro isn't about replacing a traditional striker, it's about changing how their attack functions.
Conceded a couple of goals from headers at Sunderland and have conceded one here to Joao Pedro.
Last season at Brighton, Pedro scored 20 goals while creating 7 assists. But those numbers only tell half the story. What makes him dangerous isn't just his finishing, it's where he operates. He's a forward who drifts into midfield, pulls defenders out of position, and links play in ways Chelsea haven't had since Eden Hazard. The question isn't whether Pedro can score goals, it's whether he can adapt to Chelsea's system. Maresca's wingers like Palmer and Neto thrive when they have space to cut inside, and Pedro's movement could create that by dragging centre-backs wide. He's not a classic number 9 who pins defenders, he's more like Firmino at Liverpool, dropping deep to let runners go beyond him. That versatility, it makes Chelsea's attack less predictable, but it also comes with risks. Pedro averaged 3.5 key passes per game at Brighton, but Chelsea's system, it demands quicker transitions and higher pressing. Can he adjust when teams like City or Arsenal force them to play on the counter? Some analysts worry his creative style might clash with Maresca's structured approach. But if it works, Pedro could be the missing piece that turns Chelsea's sporadic attack into a fluid system. His combination play with Palmer in pre-season, it's already shown flashes of what's possible. Pedro doesn't just finish moves, he starts them, with quick 1-2s and delayed runs that disrupt defensive lines. That's why opposing managers will fear him more than a pure goal scorer. He doesn't just beat you with individual brilliance, he makes the entire front line more dangerous. Chelsea, they're not just betting on a striker, they're betting on a tactical shift. Pedro's ability to play across the front 3, it gives them options no other top club has right now. But the Premier League tests players in ways the Bundesliga never could. If he adapts, he won't just be another signing, he'll redefine how Chelsea play. And that's a scary thought for defenders who already have to deal with Palmer's creativity and Neto's speed. While Chelsea reshape their attack, Manchester United are placing a very different kind of bet. A 6'5" striker with a price tag that proves they're tired of waiting for potential to turn into results. Manchester United needed certainty up front after finishing 15th last season, and Benjamin Sesko arrives as their most expensive gamble yet. The £73.7 million striker scored 18 Bundesliga goals for Leipzig, but his real weapon is his physical dominance. At 6'5", with a top speed of 35.7 km per hour, he combines the height of a target man with the mobility of a modern forward. His 57.4% aerial duel win rate was the best among Bundesliga strikers last season, a tempting stat for a United team that crossed the ball more than any other Premier League side. But the numbers raise questions. Sesko averaged just 2.24 shots per game last season, fewer than Willian managed at Atlanta before his move to United. With an XG of just 8.31, he's not yet the ruthless finisher United desperately need. Some Bundesliga analysts argue his goals came in streaks. He scored braces against bottom-half teams, but he went quiet in big games. The Premier League will not let him hide. Defenders like Van Dijk and Saliba won't be bullied as easily as in Germany. United's system under Amorim could be the key. The rumoured 3-4-3 formation would focus on quick transitions, letting Sesko use his pace against retreating defenders. His long-range shooting is another weapon. 23% of his goals came from outside the box, including a 30-yard missile against Bayern. That unpredictability makes him dangerous even when he's not winning headers. Yet, history isn't on his side. United's last big 3 money strikers, Willian, Antony and Sancho, all struggled to adapt quickly. The pressure is immediate. With Willian possibly leaving for £40 million, Sesko isn't just replacing a player, he's replacing hope. If he clicks, the combination of size and speed could make him unplayable. If he doesn't, United's rebuild faces another setback. The early signs, they're mixed. In pre-season, he shows flashes of brilliance, but also heavy touches under pressure. Opponents will test him physically from day one. What makes Sesko fascinating isn't just his potential, it's the risk-reward balance. No other new signing carries this much upside or downside. If he hits 20 goals, he transforms United's attack. If he struggles, the questions about their recruitment will grow louder. While United bet on raw power, Manchester City are taking a very different approach with two midfielders who could change how the ex-champions play. Manchester City didn't replace Kevin De Bruyne and Ilkay Gundogan with like-for-like signings. Instead, they brought in two players who could redefine their entire midfield system. Rayan Cherki and Tijjani Reijnders aren't just fill-ins, they're the foundations of City's next tactical evolution.
Cherki, he's onto the ball, Cherki, he hits it into the net! Rayan Cherki!
And Reijnders hits it into the back of the net! Brilliant counter-attack!
The question isn't whether they can match De Bruyne's passing or Gundogan's late runs, it's whether their combined skill can create something new. Cherki arrives from Lyon with 12 goals and 10 assists last season, a creative force who thrives in tight spaces. His ability to unlock defenses with unexpected dribbles or passes adds a dimension City sometimes lacked, especially in games where opponents sit deep. His impact for France in the Nations League, where he changed games off the bench, shows he's not just a highlight reel player, but the Premier League's physicality will test him. Can he deal with aggressive midfielders who won't give him time to weave through defenses? Reijnders is the steadier hand, completing 85% of his passes and averaging 8 key passes per game last season. His playing style draws comparisons to both Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, comfortable carrying the ball, finding pockets of space, and even making late runs into the box. He's versatile enough to play as a defensive midfielder or further forward, which fits Guardiola's love of tactical flexibility. The concern is whether he can handle the league's intensity after coming from a slower-paced Serie A. City's plan seems clear. Use Cherki's creativity in the final third and Reijnders' control in build-up to maintain dominance. Together, they could make Guardiola's side less predictable. But there is risk. De Bruyne and Gundogan weren't just technicians, they were leaders who understood the league. Replacing their experience with two relative newcomers, it is a gamble, even for a club with City's resources. If it works though, this partnership could take City's midfield in a fresh direction. Cherki's flair and Reijnders' composure might not replicate the old guard, but they offer something equally dangerous, a midfield that's harder to plan for. The real test will be how they adapt when teams press them high or crowd the midfield. For now, the potential is undeniable. While City rebuild their midfield, Arsenal are betting on a goal machine. Arsenal didn't just sign a striker, they signed a guarantee. Viktor Gyokeres arrives with 54 goals in a single season for Sporting. But the real question is whether he can translate that form to the Premier League. His journey from Coventry to Lisbon proves he's no flash in the pan. 3 straight seasons of 18-plus goals show a striker who consistently delivers. But Arsenal's system under Arteta demands more than just finishing. The Swedish forward's game is built on brute force and relentless movement, constantly pulling defenders out of position to create chaos. His diagonal runs and physicality make him a nightmare in transition, but can he adapt when teams sit deep against Arsenal's possession-heavy approach? Gyokeres isn't just a finisher, he's a one-man pressing machine. At Sporting, he averaged 1.5 tackles per game in the final third, a skill that fits Arteta's high-pressing system. But the Premier League's defenders are faster and stronger than in Portugal. As mentioned earlier, players like Van Dijk, Reece James and Saliba, they won't be bullied as easily. Gyokeres' ability to create space for Saka and Martinelli could be crucial, but he'll need to improve his link-up play. His pass accuracy of 72% last season, it raises questions about whether he can thrive in Arsenal's intricate build-up. The risk is clear. Gyokeres scored just 4 goals in 12 Champions League games last season, struggling against elite defenses. Arsenal's title hopes may hinge on whether he can elevate his game under pressure, but his strengths are undeniable. He converts half chances into goals, attacks crosses with authority, and never stops moving. If Arteta tweaks the system to emphasize transitions, Gyokeres could exploit the space behind high lines, something Arsenal lacked last season. What makes him dangerous isn't just the goals, it's the unpredictability. Unlike traditional number 9s, Gyokeres drifts wide, drops deep, and bullies defenders in unpredictable ways. Opponents won't know whether to mark him tight or track his runs. If he adjusts to the Premier League's tempo, he could be the missing piece that turns Arsenal's possession dominance into consistent scoring. While Arsenal bet on a proven goalscorer, Liverpool are banking on a different kind of threat, a midfielder who might be the most creative signing of the summer. Liverpool's midfield has been searching for creativity since Thiago's decline, and Florian Wirtz might be the solution. The 21-year-old arrives from Bayer Leverkusen, with 18 goals and 20 assists last season, numbers that highlight his rare ability to both finish and create. But his game isn't just about stats, it's about how he manipulates space. Wirtz sees passes before defenders react, often breaking lines with one touch or drifting into pockets where markers can't follow. His two-footedness makes him unpredictable, and his Bundesliga record, youngest debutant and scorer in Leverkusen's history, proves he's been ahead of the curve for years. The challenge is adaptation. The Premier League's physicality has silenced technically gifted players before, and Wirtz isn't built like a traditional midfielder. At 5'11", he relies on agility and quick thinking rather than brute strength. Slot's system demands high pressing, and Wirtz's defensive work rate, while improved, remains a question. Can he handle tracking back against wingers like Saka or Foden? His recovery from an ACL injury in 2022 shows resilience, but the league's relentlessness tests even the fittest players. What makes Wirtz special is his versatility. He can play as a 10, a false 9, or even wide, giving Liverpool options they've lacked. His anticipation is elite. He's already where the ball will be, like Gundogan at City, but with more directness. In pre-season, he's shown an understanding with Salah, often releasing him with diagonal passes that bypass midfield presses. That kind of vision, it could solve Liverpool's struggles against low blocks. The risk is expectation. At Leverkusen, Wirtz was the focal point. At Liverpool, he'll share creative duties with Szoboszlai and McAllister. Will he adjust to being one star among many? His humility, a trait Liverpool values, suggests he can. But the Premier League amplifies pressure. If he thrives though, Wirtz could redefine Liverpool's attack. His ability to turn nothing into a chance mirrors De Bruyne's early impact at City. Opponents won't know how to handle him. Double mark him and he'll find Salah. Give him space and he'll shoot. That unpredictability is why Wirtz isn't just another signing, he's a potential league changer. But the question remains, in a summer of mega signings, who stands above the rest? The 2025 Premier League season will revolve around these young stars, reshaping the league's hierarchy. Whether it's Joao Pedro's link-up play, Sesko's aerial dominance, or Wirtz's creativity, each signing brings a unique threat. City's midfield revamp with Cherki and Reijnders could change how they dominate games, while Gyokeres gives Arsenal the clinical edge they've lacked. But which player will have the biggest impact? The answer depends on system fits, adaptability, and who handles the Premier League's intensity best. The debate is wide open. Drop your pick in the comments below. Will it be the technical wizard, the physical powerhouse, or the creative genius who rises above the rest?